You guys listening and watching, today is a very fabulous day because today I have Mr. Randy Cotton on the Beauty Pro podcast. And if you don't know who Randy is, he's going to tell you right now. Randy, why
Thank
don't
you.
you tell everybody what you just told me?
Absolutely. Yeah. So good to be here, Krystine. Thank you. And yeah, Randy Cotton. I am the president of Salon Interactive, and we are a platform whose mission is to help secure the financial future and improve the financial future for beauty professionals. Um, we're very focused on the professional product space. Our company was actually founded quite a few years ago by a gentleman named Jim Bauer, who is still with us and involved. He very much leads our vision, and from a product standpoint, most of this has been his idea. But we are incredibly excited to talk today, and really, again, mission to help the Beauty Pro with what we see as a very big challenge of staying relevant with the retail side of their business.
100%. Thank you for clearing that up because I was like, oh yeah, Randy, he's a genius. Like you are a genius, and so is Mr. Jim Bauer. But I'm just saying, like, wow, he's the guy, and you're kind of the guy.
Yeah, it's so funny, Christy, how many people we come across who, when they hear about Salon Interactive and what we're doing, they're like, I had this idea. Like, this is my idea. I had this idea 10 years ago. And it's true. Like, this idea has been around. It's actually not a novel idea at all. I
Mm.
think what's novel is one, rallying enough distributors and people together to make it work for the beauty
Hmm.
industry. And also just that kind of stupidity that anyone who's an entrepreneur has to have, like our stubborn headedness of just like, we're never going to give up, we're going to keep going. And that's, one thing I respect so much about so many beauty professionals is that's what you almost have to have to day
Hmm.
after day, like fight this fight, because it is could be such a challenging job, but such a rewarding job as well if done properly. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. So what about you? Like, do you have any like personal ties to the beauty industry?
um
Like, how did you
my
get involved with the
Yeah,
beauty industry?
it's kind of a fun story. I sometimes tell this, sometimes I'm told not to say it out loud, but here I go.
We're here real and
Yeah,
raw.
we're
So
here, we're
say all the
here.
things.
I'm a subscriber, so I'm allowed to say whatever I want on the
Yes, you are.
podcast. The reality is I grew up in a household that my father cut my hair growing up. He bought, after breaking the second set of like human clippers on me and my brothers, like they actually were just breaking. He bought horse shears that were like for cutting horses' hair,
Oh, oh.
and cut my hair through. I left home around 16, like 16, 17. So through then, my hair was cut by my dad, and then following that, I cut my own hair. So I would just like literally kind of grow it out till it got like unruly long and was just a mop because I have kind of like a lot of hair. And then I would just like basically shave my head or buzz it, and then keep rolling. And I did that through like much of my adult life. Like very rarely did I ever. I think maybe I paid for a haircut like less than a handful of times, like literally less than 5 times throughout until I was in my mid 20s. But what happened, so I'm an engineer. I actually went to Switzerland and studied there. I got a degree, started a business. Um,
Is that the
and
accent that I hear? The little
um,
tinge?
I don't know. I've heard I have an accent before. I'm American. I grew up in the US. But
You,
I lived in Europe and in South America and in Korea and like kind of all over the place. So I think I picked up what some people call like an expat something, where it's basically you speak very neutrally,
yeah.
because you're talking a lot of times to people who speak English as a second or third language.
Hmm.
And so I think I simplify my speech a lot.
Mm.
I don't know, yeah, maybe.
Okay,
I
sorry.
haven't
That's
gotten called out by it much, but yeah. So ultimately, I got a phone call one day. I'm living in Switzerland at the time. I have like a very, a simple business that's running and I'm enjoying it, but it's kind of, I'm not being challenged. I got a phone call from a friend saying, "Hey, my wife and I started a barber shop, and I want to launch a tech company. Can you come out and check it out? I want your help." And it was just like the most bizarre, but knowing this guy, he's a genius and he's a wonderful person. I got on a plane and flew to Colorado, and within like 30 days, we had formed. He had already gotten the ball rolling, but we formed a company, me and him and one other guy, and we launched it. And we had someone approach us and say, "Hey, there's this business that's interested in your software. Their name's Alta, And we're like, oh, cool, Ulta. Okay, so I'm searching Ulta, and I found ALTA Ulta, which is like a manufacturing company in Chicago, because they're based in Chicago, I heard. So
Right.
I'm like looking them up. I'm like, this is so weird that this manufacturing company is like interested in our software. And so we're literally in the basement of the barber shop, and we get on this phone call, and there's like three executives from Ulta Beauty. And we're looking at him, and we're like, this doesn't seem like a manufacturing company. And we're like, oh, yeah, okay, this makes more sense. It's a beauty. So,
That's so
long
funny.
story short, we ended up launching and then over multiple years rolling out our software to all Ulta Beauties. So every Ulta that you go to today has my software in it, and I got to understand the beauty
Yeah.
industry a little bit there, and met thousands of salon owners and different salon professionals through my time going to events, and um, met Jim, actually the original founder of Salon Interactive, who had also founded a company called Rosie Salon Software, which he sold.
Yes.
Yeah, so Jim is actually the founder of Rosie, which he sold in 2019,
Okay.
and then started focusing on Salon Interactive. And that was the moment where I exited Spruce Labs, which was my company that was working with Ulta Beauty. And at that point, Jim and I started collaborating, and then I came in full time early 2020.
That
So
is
yeah, it's
so
been a
cool.
journey, but I kind of fell into it, I guess, is ultimately the answer. Very long answer to your question of how did
Totally
I get?
fine. That's
Yeah.
totally fine. I have
Mhm.
found that a lot of us in the beauty industry, myself included, we have literally fallen into it and then we discover it and we're
Yeah.
like, oh my God, this is like, I don't know about you, but I feel like, wow, this is like Candyland. Like there's so many endless opportunities. You could do anything.
Well,
Do you feel that?
yeah, it's so, to me, the thing that's maybe the most stark is that it's a very special industry in a very difficult to describe way.
Mm,
You hear people say it all the time. Oh, it's such a special industry. It's like, well, what does that mean? Like you're just saying that,
right.
right? But
Right.
really, I kind of shared my background, like never having any. So I had
Yeah.
this like very negative view of beauty and the
Oh,
beauty industry growing
okay.
up. To me, it was like a vanity. And I grew up in like a weird, like that's a whole nother, we could go, it's a whole podcast about my weird growing up. But I grew up
Okay.
with like a very weird viewpoint of like people who like really took care of themselves, and and it was almost
Mm,
like, oh, it's vanity, and it's like just people who are, and I still distinctly remember the first time I kind of was under the hood at Ulta Beauty, and like got to meet a bunch of people that worked there and people who had like dedicated their lives to the beauty industry.
hmm
And it was just mind boggling to me. Like it shook me to my core of like, I had this totally wrong. Like this is for sure, there's some vanity there, but it's like the top one, like it's a tiny, tiny sliver
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
what's under the hood. And it's all these amazing people. It's people with incredible stories who are doing things to help each other feel good about themselves when maybe nothing else in life is going well and they really need something. And there's women who, a single mom raising who needed an opportunity and became a six-figure hairdresser, or is in corporate at Ulta. Or I mean, I love to share her story. Keisha Steelman, who's the COO at Ulta, is like has an amazing journey going from working at Target up through the corporate ranks. And it's just incredible to see the opportunity that's been provided to so many people, as well as the core of it is really about making people feel good about themselves
Mm.
too, which is something that is so important. That the older I get, the more I understand how important that really is.
Yeah.
um, so anyway, yeah, that's been my
That is
experience.
so interesting. Okay, so when you tell your folks and your family who were like, we don't get haircuts. Like, what do you like? How do you explain like what you're doing? Like, you're working with exactly the opposite of what they're telling, what they always taught you. So, like, how do you like explain it to them?
Yeah, I don't necessarily. I mean, I don't go out of my way to try to explain this to people, because I think there's a large portion. I'll just try to talk about the U.S. because that's kind of the market I understand the best. But I know in the U.S. there's a big bunch of people who don't,
Mm,
like if they're getting a haircut, they might be going to like a cost cutter and have their
mm,
like who's available and what's the cheapest, fastest way for me to get a haircut. And
yeah.
that's like a pretty decent chunk of the 300 some million Americans, right? Are people who are doing that. But then there's this massive group of us and people more and more who do care and have incredible relationships with their hairdresser or their
Mm,
barber, and it's become a core part of who they are and what they, going to the salon and having that experience, doing their nails, like beauty and health and wellness has become a key part of their journey. And so I try to like give people insight into that if that's something I don't think they understand.
Mm-hmm.
like, my partner also, she doesn't, is not like, someone who's I would say on that like far, really into services and getting things done all the time and stuff. But it's like such a treat to then like
Yeah.
get her that once in a while, and they've been feeling just incredibly pampered. And it's so easy in this life to like forget that just
Yeah.
something simple like taking some time and going and having someone else like put their hands on you and take care of you and make you feel beautiful or special or handsome or whatever it is, that
Mm-hmm.
that is deeply powerful and
Yeah.
something that unfortunately a lot of people are missing in their lives. And every time I hear someone like downplay the beauty industry or like, oh, you just went to cosmetology school, you're just a hairdresser, I'm like, and again, I'm going to be the first mea culpa to say like, I was raised that, like I felt that way growing up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But now I understand, like, oh my God, like these are people who are, there's very few people you let just put your hands on you,
Yeah.
right? Like you're letting a
Yeah.
stranger, like someone that's not part of your family, put their hands on your head, on your body. And that is a very trusting position. And it's deeply important, which is also why hairdressers need so many hours of training and
Yeah.
there's so much importance put on that, which, that's a whole political conversation, I think. But like ultimately,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's wild to think that. And so I always really try to defend the beauty pro whenever I hear someone kind of making that, like just kind of a remark where you can tell they're not. It's usually they just aren't educated about it because I wasn't.
Yeah.
And so I
Mm-hmm.
try to like I think that's something we as a beauty industry really need to do is to
Yeah.
help educate more people that like this is not the fallback plan that you think it is. Like this is an amazing
Right.
industry that, there's people who've fallen back to it and the people that just like every profession, you've got the people who are not properly representing this to the world. But the reality is this is a very special and important role that you play. I think a lot of people saw that in the pandemic when suddenly they couldn't see their hairdresser anymore. And
Yes.
suddenly they didn't have that human to human connection and touch that maybe they didn't realize was like keeping them floating. And it somehow we haven't gotten our politicians and lawmakers to understand that. But that's like a whole, again, that's kind of why we're here. Like that's what Salon Interactive's.
Yeah.
I don't want to jump too quickly to self promotion, and that's not what this is about. But it's like we see there's this big gap
Yeah.
of the beauty pros are kind of getting left behind, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a fan of woe is me or saying oh our lives are so hard and it's so difficult. It's okay to acknowledge that there's difficult things and like let's pause for a moment, let's get it out, but then let's regroup and say now what the hell are we going to do about this, let's go do
Right.
something. And so that's what we've done is we've tried to do something that will actively help a beauty pro who's lost, basically resigned to giving up the retail side of their business
Mm-hmm.
because brands and manufacturers industry and people have gone out and sold direct to clients, and Ulta Beauty's carrying it, and every Target has it now, and Walgreens is selling this, and it's hard. It's a
Yeah.
difficult landscape, and we're here to try to provide a spark of hope and
Mm-hmm.
remind them that like there's people out there doing stuff very specifically to help them. And
Yeah.
that's why I'm here.
Well, let's just get into it in case nobody fully understands what Salon Interactive is. Because I
Mhm.
remember when I first heard it, I was like, what is that? Okay, whatever. And like I kept kind of sideswiping it until I sat down and I was like, okay, let me look this up. And then I was like, oh my God, we need this in my salon. So we do actually. I am a
Yes,
salon interactive person.
I love
Um,
it. I love it.
so can you just explain to everybody like, what
Yeah.
exactly is Salon
Well,
Interactive and why they need it?
would you be up to doing a little bit of me asking you questions that will hopefully lead? Because I love it. There's nothing better
Let's
to
do
me than
it.
a beauty pro who's using it.
Do it.
So I'm assuming that you saw us and there was some reference to like an e-commerce store or retail, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you're a beauty pro. Describe your salon. Oh, your listeners know, but like, tell me about your salon.
So my salon, we do carry retail, but
Okay.
we of course
Which
offer
brands?
services, but we offer retail for hair and skin.
Mhm.
And yeah, we're a little boutique salon.
I mean, which brands do you carry? If you don't mind me asking.
We carry a little bit of everything. So we have
Mhm.
Wella, Pravana, L'Oreal,
Yep.
American Crew,
Perfect.
uh, what else? Moroccan Oil,
Mhm.
something. There's
Do
more. I can't
Do you
remember.
carry, so and this is where I'm gonna get into like the pointed questions. Do you
Okay.
carry every SKU of any of those brands?
Every SKU or any
Yeah,
SKU? Every
every SKU.
SKU?
Yeah.
Probably not. No, we
Yeah,
could let you
probably
know.
not. There's some brands have, and especially if you want to get into like the different sizes and everything, like absolutely not. Like it's
Yeah.
very rare that a salon is in a financial position, especially smaller salons, to carry every SKU of any brand, let alone multiple brands. And oftentimes clients have preferences, and you as a hairdresser and your team as your colleagues, they're going to have preferences, and that's okay. We should celebrate that. And not only that, sometimes people want something just new. They love a product they've been using, and they're like, you know what? I'm feeling frisky. Let's change it up. That's great. Let's celebrate that. Like, the reality is I think we've as a brand, as a manufacturer, as an industry, we failed hairdressers. And we've been telling them the same thing for 40 plus years, and it's not working. It hasn't worked. It's not going to start working magically. You can't force people to sell stuff in the way that we're asking them to sell when they don't have, when you're trying to turn a relationship that's trust based and like almost a friendship into a transactional relationship, and that doesn't work. And so we've got to find ways to share this with them in the sense of like, you have to finish the service with this client to give them the best opportunity to feel amazing at home. And part of that is making sure they have access to the proper home care. Proper being professional, being one you recommended, because you're the only one who put your hands on their head, who ran your fingers through their hair, who cut it, who looked at the ends, who knows what's going on. Like, you're the only person who's actually qualified to give them a recommendation. Do that. How many hairdressers do you know are recommending products to every one of their clients? I don't know if I know a single one.
I know maybe 2.
Yeah.
Maybe
It's
maybe 4, but they're very rare. They're very rare.
Very rare. And again, this is not to bash them. I'm not saying it's hard. I get it. It's difficult, and it hasn't been easy. And what are you going to do? Recommend something you don't even have on your shelf? Or if you do and they reject you, or they reject, I use the word reject intentionally because that's what it feels like to the beauty professional. Instead of the client going like, oh no, I'm actually good, I got stuff at home. That's what they're thinking. They're like, oh cool, I move on with my day. The beauty professional, who this is in their mind their friend, this person they put themselves out there by asking, by recommending, they said no, now it hurts, now it feels bad. And again, that's a valid feeling.
Right.
It wasn't the client's intent in most cases, but like that's what we're dealing with. So there's like all of this anxiety around putting ourselves out there by recommending something and worrying about what, and then on top of that, you have the thing that I have never heard anyone talk about that I keep hollering from the rooftops, is that every beauty professional is paying 50% of the price that their client would pay. So why? Of course, they feel like it's insanely expensive, and they're like, "Oh my god!" And they all self-discount if they are selling retail. They're like, "Oh, I'll knock 20% off because I don't want to charge you for it." Well, guess what? When you're not selling a product to that client, they're going down the street to Ulta and buying it with a $3.50 coupon or something. So they're basically paying full price, and you're just losing the money. So please let us help you. Keep that money in your pocket. Like, they're going to buy it somewhere anyways. You are their friend, and think about you being their friend as in making sure they have the proper home care. Stop thinking about the fact that you don't need to worry about whether they can afford it or not. That's not your role.
Thank you.
Right?
Thank you.
Especially, my favorite is when the hairdresser who's like, taking the bus to work is like worried about giving a recommendation to the lady who showed up in the G-Wagon, and you're like, this person can't, just because you couldn't afford this price doesn't mean they can't, and again, this is not a negative to the BeautyPro. I get it, because we're putting them in an incredibly difficult psychological position of, we're telling you to treat this person like your friend and build a relationship, and it's all about getting them to come back for the next service. That's the service side of your business. The other side of your business is retail, and it's deeply important that you make sure they're buying retail from you, not only because you're getting the money from that sale, but it makes that client 3 times as likely to come back if they're a first-time client. 3 times as likely. It increases the value, LTV, of that client, which means, for anyone who's unaware of what LTV is, it's very simple. It's how much value from a dollars and cents perspective you get from a client over the lifetime, meaning how long that client comes to you, right? And so there's metrics out there, and a lot of your point of sale companies will be calculating that for you, or you can calculate it yourself. I think it's one of the most important metrics that we should be looking at, which is, retail is what drives that number up faster than anything else, because they're going to be coming for the services. But what's really exciting, and the data that we have shows that if someone is making sure that client's getting proper home care from them, that client comes back more often. So their frequency of visits go up. Their service, what they're getting in terms of service goes up. And then obviously the cart size increases due to that, as well as the added retail. They also become much more likely to buy the product from you in the salon if you first sell to them online, because now you've opened the door. Now they're thinking about you as a source Whereas before, they might not have been. Did my audio just get weird?
No.
Oh, I just got a weird notification. But anyways, yeah. So literally, like, there's all of the metrics that just get better.
Mm-hmm.
Get that retail to them that first or second, like get them on it.
So
We're,
wait, that piece, I just want to repeat that piece.
yeah.
That if you sell to your client online first, they're more likely to spend with you in person.
Yeah.
Did I hear that right?
So think about this. What we
Whoa.
have seen, especially, we have a lot of data, and it's been a little bit challenging having the clearest of pictures just due to a lot of our initial data. Like, we launched in January of 2020, basically. And so
Yeah,
imagine
that's the
our,
COVID
our
year. That's the
yes,
COVID
I mean,
year.
not just
Whoa.
COVID year, but then there were shutdowns again in 2021. So it was like
Yeah.
our data was super wonky for those first couple of years, and we had like incredible numbers because everyone's closed. We were the only way for many salons to make money, which
Mm-hmm.
was awesome. The downside is many of those salons that signed up and made money with us, as soon as they reopened their doors and went back to their clients, they actually shut down. Like, they didn't turn it off, but they just stopped promoting their store. They basically were like, okay, I'm good. They viewed us as a life raft that once they made it back to shore, right, reopened their salon, they suddenly didn't need us. They left us sitting on the shore. So we're trying to figure out, like, how do we get back in front of these people and remind them, like, hey, the only time it's not appropriate to be using us is if you're selling retail products to 100% of your clients while they're in the salon. And I have yet to find a salon that's doing that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what do you tell the stylists? Because I know a lot of like and I work with them, a lot of like mature people who have been in the industry for a long time, right? And they cannot stand technology. Okay. What do you
Technology
tell
adverse.
OG? Yeah, they are the OGs, right? And they're like, they tell me this all the time. They're like, no, 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 I need to have it here because people want it here and now. Like, I'm going to take my water bottle. They want
Yeah.
to get it. They see it, they feel it, they touch it. They want to take it and they want to buy it and take it home today,
Yeah.
not wait 3 days.
Sure.
What do you tell those people?
Then stock the products that person wants.
Okay.
Sell it to them. Like,
Simple answer.
don't send them to Ulta. God, like, get it in yourself. Like, reach out to them beforehand. Make sure you have the product they're going to want. Make sure you're having the retail conversation. Understand what's in their shower. Is there any other brands that you might not have they want? Like, there's a billion things you can do. Be a part of the conversation. Like, just show up.
Right.
Take a step. It's what I've seen is there's this resignation of,
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, it's hard, I can't do it. Like, they said no, so I'm gonna just give up. And I'm like, how many clients did you see today? One hurt your feelings, which, again, I'm not downplaying. It sucks. I did sales. I did door-to-door sales for a while when I was young.
So
We're literally knocking on people's
you
doors. It's like, it is rejection, like, city. Like, all you get people slamming doors in your face, threatening to shoot you, like, all kinds of crazy stuff.
Good
You
Lord.
just have to learn. And I'm super empathetic to that. Like, you've got this person in your chair, you've got a relationship. Saying no feels bad. I get it. The reality is if you don't choose to engage with them, they're going to go get it somewhere else. But
Mm-hmm.
we have seen research that shows that one of the number one complaints clients have about their hairdresser when they like their hairdresser's services is that they don't recommend the products.
Mm-hmm.
One of the number one complaint we get from, that we hear from salons, and of course we're biased because we're in the retail side, but it's always, my clients don't buy retail from me. They go buy it somewhere. They don't, they go do this. And so we're sitting here with these two very different answers. One side is saying, well, they never recommend me anything. The other side is saying, well, after the service, they took a picture of the bottle and I know they're going to go buy it on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, every hairdresser listening knows that feeling.
Yeah.
Right? Client
Yeah.
goes, hey, can I see that bottle real quick? I'm going to take a quick picture of it.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do in that situation?
Yeah, no, that's the
Right
hard.
there.
Yeah,
What
you're like,
I'm actually asking. I want to
for
know.
me
What do you do?
personally,
Yeah.
when they say that, I say, yeah, you can take a picture, but
Yeah.
just know if you ordered off of Amazon, there have been studies showing that you're actually getting a bottle of goop. You're not getting the real thing.
Yeah.
FYI.
And that was somewhat relevant for certain brands for a while.
Yeah.
It's becoming less so because all the brands are now, and
I
they did that
know.
because and my point, the only reason I say this is,
Yeah.
imagine you're the client in that situation. You're telling them that kind of anecdote that's like a few years old now, and they're going, but I bought it like 3 times and it's been fine. Like, it's not. So, like,
Yeah.
you don't know what you're trying. Now we've driven a stake into that. Like,
Right.
Now they're not trusting you. Now they're like, why is she saying this? Here's what we recommend.
Yes, tell me. Teach me. Yes, this is
I'm your client. I
fantastic.
grab it. It's you go, hey, what are you going to do with that? Right. First of all, let's
Wow.
confront them. What are you going to do with that picture? What do you need the picture for? Like, what are you? And they're going to be like deer in the headlights because they're going to be like, oh yeah, because that's the moment they're suddenly going to go from they're not even thinking about because again, this is not like bash on clients.
No.
We're not properly training them. Therefore, you can't get mad at a dog that was never trained by its owners, right? Like this
Exactly.
is what and I'm not. God, that was a weird reference. I hope
It's
people
okay.
understand. Well,
I
you get
use
it.
that reference all the
Yeah.
time.
So I mean, the point is like if we're not properly training our clients,
Yeah.
we can't get mad at them. So let's start with that. Let's start properly. So we're going to do this by asking the simple question: what are you going to do with that? They're going to go, oh, like. Here's the different responses you'll get. Oh, I have product at home, so I'm just I'm gonna want to keep track of it, and I'll order the right thing when I get it, or like, oh, can I buy it for maybe they're guilty and like, well, it's cheaper online or whatever, right?
Uh-huh.
The follow up to that you need to do and teach everyone you can this is hey, did you know that like when you buy those products somewhere else that it actually really hurts me? Like that it kind of hurts my feelings a little bit, but also like that money like really means a lot to me when you spend it with me. If you could find it somewhere cheaper, I'd happily match the price.
Oh,
Because now what you're
Randy.
doing, you're suddenly reminding them that you've got the relationship. Wouldn't you rather spend $3 extra to support a person you actually care about than sending it to Jeff Bezos? Like, fuck, is he going to go to space again? Like, what are we supporting him for? Does he give a shit about the beauty industry? Absolutely not.
Right.
He's squeezing every dollar, and every one of these major, they all have shareholders. They all have people they have to appease, and it's all about money. None of them are going, hey guys, after our impact on the industry, it's in a better place. Never has someone said that to a shareholder meeting. That's nobody wants to hear that.
Yeah.
They want to hear how many dollars did you make us. We have to rely on the one thing we have in the beauty industry, which is the relationship. That's not going to go away.
Wow.
So just bring it up, call it out, and then suddenly you're like on a different footing with them. And at that point, they can go, oh well, the $3 really matters to me. Hey, I'll hand you $3 right here. Buy it for like I'll take $3 off the product. Buy it from me.
Oh,
Here it is.
this is such a simple solution. And I don't know why I never thought about it. Like you just blew
I
my
can tell
mind.
you
It's vulnerability at its
it
finest.
is. It's showing them that because you're frustrated, because
Yeah.
rightfully so, you've been rejected over and over and over in your mind. Again, this is not real rejection. This
Right.
is we're
Right.
perceiving it as such, which
Mindset.
again is very valid. But so you are already showing up to that with like a barrier of like, this mother is going to go and buy it from Amazon, and I'm going to tell him about why it's a bad idea.
Yeah.
Instead, being like, hey, do you realize the consequences of your actions? When they teach good
Oh.
parenting, they teach parents how to tell their kids how their actions are impacting them and their feelings, right? And so that's
Mhm.
what we're doing here with a client. We're saying, you probably aren't thinking about it this way, but I need you to
Yeah.
understand how what the result of you doing this is for me. That's going to open the door potentially. And again, there's some asshole clients out there. Some of them might be
Mhm.
like, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to go
Yeah.
buy it from wherever I want. Okay, that's
Right.
fine. Now you know where you stand with them too, right?
Right. Right.
Great. Next time you're wondering about firing a client, you've got a list of people who might be on that.
This is
But the
so
reality
incredible.
is you get to deepen your relationship with them, share a little bit of like the reality of your life with them, and then maybe it opens that door. Because guess what? You've got Moroccan oil sitting on the shelf right over there. Now you can go, hey, you know that I've literally got it right here. Like, let's go look at it. If you want to buy it, look, okay, I'm $4 more expensive than Amazon, which PS, please stop doing that, brands. Like, can you please not sell products cheaper on Amazon than
Yes, please.
MSRP? That would be great. But
Yeah.
the reality is you suddenly now have a conversation with the client. And if it doesn't work the first time, just trust me and us and and the reality of the world that it will work the second time or the third time. You got to keep doing it though. It's going to be a shift in mindset, and humans are very capable of doing that, but it takes time. It's not always. Sometimes it'll be immediate and it'll feel amazing. Other times it won't happen right away.
Yeah.
Just be patient, but know that to me that's the hope driver is like we get to have these better, deeper conversations with clients and explain to them what's important to us as beauty professionals and how they can support us. Because they were all asking how they could support us during the pandemic. So
Yeah, they
let's keep
were.
that going and remind them what are the things that matter to us and how can our relationship grow and be better? And how can you be more confident that they're going to go home and be able to recreate that amazing look when they're at home? they just bought a professional product from you.
I just love it. I just got so many ideas. Hold on. I have to write this down. Like,
I've got time.
this is it's all of if beauty and barber pros are so concerned about the relationship, right? Because they all want to be like, my clients are my friends. No, they're not, but okay, we'll go with that. If you're so concerned about the relationship, this is how you do it. This is how
Yeah.
you keep it alive.
Right.
And
Yeah. If it's a real friend, it's someone you could say that to. If it's not a real friend, but it's a client, it's someone you need to say it to. And if they're an asshole to
Mhm.
you, maybe it's someone you need to consider firing.
Yeah.
Again,
Oh,
I'm not saying you force everyone to buy a product from you, but the reality is like they need to know.
but
They
do
need to
tell
know the
them.
impact.
Like you got to
Yeah.
tell them. Like
What do you have
let's
to lose? I guess is like what the worst case scenario is they don't buy it from you.
right. Okay, whatever. You keep
Yeah,
moving.
it's like they're already not buying product from you, so
Right.
it's like, we
Oh
didn't
my
lose
good.
much.
Oh
Yeah,
my goodness, that was great. I thank you for sharing that. Okay.
yeah, of course, of
All
course.
right. So that is Salon Interactive in case anybody was
Mhm.
confused. All right. So now,
Well,
Mr. Randy. Yes, go ahead.
and unfortunately, well, actually, maybe fortunately, I don't know. That's only the very first part of Salon Interactive. So there's a whole bunch of other features
Oh,
that
there's
we should
more.
probably get into at some point. You can order back bar products through your distributors. The key here that I
Yeah.
think we went very deep on that one, and it's important. I think what we just
Yeah.
talked about is probably the most important thing we could.
Yeah.
But we have marketing tools. Our whole goal is to basically take the stuff that's really hard for you as a beauty owner, beauty professional, stylist, business owner. These are things like, do you need to go become a marketer? Do you need to go,
Mm.
become a retail expert? Do you need to build your own e-commerce store? No, like let us just do that stuff for you.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of tools we can do. We have a tool called OBM, on behalf marketing, where you can
Oh.
select the different brands that are in your store, and we will create and send out marketing campaigns focused around those brands or relating to those brands
Oh,
to your
yes.
clients, so that they can actually, so we're basically just going to be driving sales for you. And the key here is you need to get your clients in the system. You can do that by either linking one of our connected point of sale systems, which can be found on at
Mhm.
soninteractive.com or in your profile when you're inside of si.com,
Yeah.
or you can manually do it and our team can help. So if you don't, again, I know tech is like tech adverse. If you want to send us your spreadsheet, you can literally do that. You just link it, send it
Mhm.
to our team, and we'll get it uploaded for you.
It's
So we're
actually
always happy.
really easy, you
Yeah,
guys who are
it's
listening and
very easy.
watching. It's
Yeah,
easy. I did it in like an hour. It wasn't that
yeah,
hard. It's fine. Oh my goodness. Yeah. And I did. I actually got one of the emails that we have programmed already for the salon. And I was like, what is I
cool.
sent this? Like, I
So
don't
you're like,
remember doing this. And it was Salon Cent or Salon Interactive. And I was like, oh
you're like,
yeah, that's
oh,
great.
yep. It's very funny because I've had multiple salon owners tell me that, and I'm not always sure how to feel. I'm like, I wish you knew it was happening, but it's like cool that you're also, because obviously we want it to feel it's coming from the salon. Like
Yeah.
we're not getting. I think that's a key that I something I didn't touch on as much is all of this should feel very much like it's yours. Like we're
Yeah.
not. This is not like a third party affiliate site you're sending people to.
Hmm.
This is your site. It's got your logo on it. It's got your, you can adjust the pictures. You can change what brands are there.
Yeah.
But the reality is you're not having to do anything beyond that. Like when someone goes and buys, we take that transaction, we pass it to the appropriate distributor. The product ships directly to the client, and we're sending you money once a week at least. So it's like once a week we're depositing straight in your bank account for any of the sales, the referral sales that you've given us.
Hmm.
It's very simple and straightforward, as having used it. Um, Really, we need beauty professionals to take that step to us and say, we want help. We're willing. We'll sign up. We'll turn on OBM. We'll do these things, and we'll do the rest. I mean, we're excited because we're seeing some momentum and some excitement from people, but we really, it's about we're here to help, and we need people to meet us at least part of the way.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
So finding out a little bit about your background and seeing your passion for Salon Interactive, which is, I'm very happy for you that you went from horse cutting shears to now like gung ho about beauty pros. Like, that's phenomenal. I'm very proud of you. So, with that, what is something that you have learned being exposed to beauty people? What is something that you've learned that you wish now that everybody who's not in the industry would also learn?
I mean, definitely what we already kind of covered, which is that this
Mhm.
is not a career choice.
Yeah.
That's not something you should be proud of your kids for. Like that's the way I couch it, because it's
Yeah.
like I sat in a meeting at Square's headquarters after like talking with Jack Dorsey, like the founder of Blocking, Square and Blocking, like
Yeah.
one of the most wealthy people in the world and deeply influential. And he's talking about the future of what they're doing,
Uh-huh.
and the Square team is also deeply invested in trying to improve things for the beauty industry, which is very cool to watch. It's
That
rare that
is
a big
cool.
corporation is like that.
Yeah.
And I asked some of their leaders, like, would you recommend your children go and get a college? They asked us, like, what's one of the biggest challenges with the beauty industry? And I was like, well, would any of you send your kids to cosmetology school?
And what they say.
They did not want to. I mean, immediately, nobody wants to answer that because they get it immediately. And it's
Yeah.
unspoken stuff, and maybe I'll be out of a career at some point because I refuse to not say stuff like that. But like the reality is that's probably one of the biggest challenges of learning with this industry is
Mhm.
there's not a lot of parents that are like wealthy, educated, want the best for their kids, doing the thing, that would go, hey, let's. They get upset when their child chooses cosmetology. They don't support them and get excited, and we've got to find a way to change that. And we change that by changing the
Yes.
financial outcomes for beauty pros, talking
Mhm.
about that, fighting
Mhm.
back against bad behaviors and things that
Mhm.
like we shouldn't be allowing. And
Yeah.
so for me, that's kind of a more of a personal mission. Is like, how do we?
Yeah.
It'd be a cool mark to leave. Is like to get to where we've got parents reaching out and going, "Hey, what's the best beauty school? I really want my kids to like consider that as an option."
Oh, I love that though. All right,
Yeah.
so here's another personal. It could be personal or professional, honestly. What's an insult that you have gotten that you are super proud of?
Oh my god. I don't know. The list is so long.
Oh, just
Um,
what's the first thing that pops up? It could
the
be
first thing
anything.
that came to my mind was like, well, actually, this is it. I was trying too hard. That I was like
Oh,
caring too much. So it was basically it was my last business, and we were putting out content online. It was
okay.
directed at me and my partner. We
Okay.
were like acting something out and being kind of extra and silly and like I'm sure it was annoying. Like
Right.
great,
Right.
but like there was
Fine.
the insult was a lot of like, oh, you guys are trying so hard, like it's not fun. And I was like, you're damn right, we're trying hard, and we're gonna keep trying. Like I'll
Yeah.
take that insult all day long. Yeah, we're
I
trying hard.
love that.
We're doing an event right now. We're doing
Mhm.
our very first community event, um, and I'm feeling that again. I think that came to mind because I'm feeling like I'm putting myself out there for something a little bit that's like
Oh.
driving a little bit of like insecurity in me, and
Mm.
I keep talking about it because
Yeah.
it's maybe a new feeling for me. I'm maybe a lucky person that doesn't have that feeling very often,
Mm.
but like it's a good refresh and a reminder of like when you're doing stuff that matters and trying really hard, like you're bound to fail a bunch. And so you got to keep putting yourself out there. And I think maybe that's something I love about the beauty industry too, is that like
Mhm.
beauty pros know how to fail because we all like it's a hard,
Yeah.
like we fail constantly. Like not a single beauty professional has not had a haircut that was an absolute disaster and
Right.
like had to just be like, oh my god, I can't even imagine. I'm not a beauty like obviously, but that feeling I can't imagine as you're going and just kind of being like, oh fuck, this is not. Oh no, this is not going where I wanted it to go. And then kind of looking around and be like, oh, I'm by myself. Like what?
Like, how
Nightmare,
do I climb
nightmare
out of
fuel.
this
Yeah, like
one?
this is your friend. You just have butchered them, and you're like, oh no. So
So funny.
you all
Yeah,
have that.
it's funny because it
Yeah.
has like yeah, it's so real.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Okay,
yeah.
okay. So time is escaping.
Yeah.
So what is a well, first, how can people sign up for Salon Interactive? How can they do that?
Yeah.
Let's do that first.
By far the easiest way is just going to be go to
Uh,
saloninteractive.com, spelled exactly how it sounds. Um, and in the upper right, there's going to be a sign up button.
hmm,
Um, it takes on average, what you're going to need with you to do that is your distributor account number
mm,
for your local. We are US based only right
okay.
now. For anybody listening who might be in the state RDA territory, I'm terribly sorry. We're not yet live there.
Mm,
But we are live in all Salon Centrics, and we have 17 other independent distributors like Bassett, Salon Services Pro, Swice Inc., Beauty Solutions, Beauty
mm,
Crafts, Premier. DePasquale, Evolve, and we have
Yeah.
some incredible Life of Riley. Like I'm
Yeah.
leaving some out. I don't want to leave any out, but like we have some amazing independent distributors. If you really want, are excited about this, and you don't see your distributor listed, please reach out to our team. You can reach out via social. You can reach out to support@saloninteractive.com. We do have some distributors that we're hopefully going to be partnering with in the future, so don't lose hope.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll be everywhere at some point.
We'll
But
be
it takes time.
everywhere.
The revolution is starting.
The revolution is started, baby.
Started.
It's going to be great. Okay, so now you mentioned something about an event, a
Yes.
community event.
Mhm.
This
So we're
episode,
doing-
yeah, what's going on? What's happening?
Yeah, I think we should give a tiny bit of context. I'll try to go super fast. You reached out to us via social,
Mhm.
and we're like, hey, it'd be super fun to talk. And we jumped on, and we have never spoken before. I think that's relevant for
Yeah.
listeners to understand. Like, this is the
Yeah,
first time.
this is the first time
conversation.
we're meeting, talking,
Yes.
all the things,
Yes.
guys.
And so we actually have this is how you should do a podcast, just for everyone listening. This is like,
Yes.
this is how you get the real deal, because this is 100% raw. We didn't plan this, but we are doing an event in San Diego. I actually live in San Diego.
Nice.
Our company is fully remote, so we're across the whole US. We are US based. But we are doing our very first, what we're calling the Beauty Retail Revolution Rally. It's a mouthful, BRRR. I'm actually wearing my BRR shirt. It's the Beauty Retail Revolution. So this is like the brainchild that I've been working on for a while, which is how do we talk about this in a way that hopefully is going to get hairdressers a little fired up, a little excited, and have it be like a banner they can kind of get behind. Because Salon Interactive is our company. That's our nuts and bolts. That's the toolkits. That's the things we're doing. Mm-hmm. What is it we're trying to do? We are trying to start a beauty retail revolution. We're trying to change the way people talk about retail. We're trying to change the way that the mindset. We're trying to change consumer behavior, client behavior. We're trying to change the way beauty professionals think about retailing. And so it's a revolution. This is not a short term. You can't go and sign up for a store and then like post your link on Facebook one time and be like, cool, I did it. You can choose for that to be your part, but you're going to get out of it what you put in. Mm-hmm. And again, you can set up a store in about 3 minutes. So
yeah.
That's not a lot, right?
When is this thing?
So it's the first one is San Diego, September 30th, which is 25 days from today. So it's coming.
No wonder it's on your mind.
Yeah, you can see I'm sweating. Actually, I'm thinking about it right now. We're super excited. You can sign up if you go to our social, Salon Interactive, Instagram, or what. We have links. I think we've already posted. And if you're in the San Diego area, if you go and sign up, you'll be getting emails from us because we're going to send out stuff to all our local salons, letting them know like date, time, location.
That's so cool.
And it is in San Diego on the 30th, 5 p.m. Square is co-sponsoring this with us because again, Square is really investing in, they've got a pretty cool initiative they're pushing called Support Your Local Stylist, which is them wanting to remind everyone like, hey, we've got to do more to make sure that and part of that is them working with us to ensure that those local stylists can sell retail. We've talked about the slogan of like shop online, support local. Like it's not a common phrase, but it's like you can buy products online while supporting your local salon. That's what we offer. So lots of excitement. We're going to do a little panel. We're going to do some product giveaways. Some Dyson hair dryers I think may be there. Some other stuff. So it's a charity actually. So we're doing all the money from this event is going to go towards a charity that is very near and dear to our hearts called Hair to Stay. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but
I'm not.
It's amazing organization, hairtostay.org. It's all about for anyone who's experiencing the big C or going through cancer treatment, a very common, if not guaranteed, side effect of much of the treatment for cancer is loss of hair. Mm-hmm. And as you can imagine, for people who are in this industry, or basically for everybody, that's a very significant and difficult thing to experience while you're already going through something that's incredibly scary and difficult and just shitty, right? Fuck cancer. So Hair to Stay is all about it's this amazing technology that super cools the scalp while you're going through chemotherapy and allows you to keep your hair. And many people don't know about that. And obviously hairdressers are often like the first person who might hear about someone having cancer or
Mhm.
dealing with that, in the sense that like they might talk about it in the chair, but also they're usually going to talk to them about like, hey, I'm going to be losing my hair soon, like that type of thing. We're trying to get the word out to hairdressers so they know about this, so they can be telling their clients, hey, there's a solution, there could be help. They donate money, and there's a very specific fund that was set up by Sydney Berry, who's an amazing. She was one of the founders of Salon Services Pro, the distributor out of the Northwest.
Mm.
Incredible woman. She's on the board, I believe, at the PBA.
Oh, cool.
But she experienced cancer when she was 37, and then throughout her life, she's had several bouts of it. And so she's deeply involved in this and has started a fund that's specifically focused on giving money for the treatment for any beauty professionals, I believe, under 40 that are experiencing
Mm.
cancer or something, something in those lines.
Okay.
So awesome information. I'm happy to
Yeah.
share. I could shoot you the links for this if you
Yeah,
want to post it. Yeah,
send me all the links because
that'd
we're
be
gonna
super
put
neat.
it in the show notes and on
Cool.
Instagram
Yeah,
and all that stuff.
fantastic.
One final question before we
Mhm.
go. What is something that I did not ask you that you wish I did, and how would you have answered?
I wish you had asked me what kind of products I use on my hair, and I can't believe you didn't. And I'm deeply offended.
I'm sorry.
So I'm just, I'm kidding. I need a haircut, and I really need to know what type of haircut I should get, because I
Can you
got butchered by a barber, and I
Mm.
literally, the first time in my life, I stood up partway through a haircut and left. Then I came home and
Whoa.
like tried to fix it. I was like, it's a local barber shop that I wanted to go to. I've been seeing it,
Yeah.
and this was like a young. And again, I had a very open dialogue with him. And at one point, I was like, you know what? Like, let's call it. Like, let's stop. We're good. Like, I'm not seeing this going in a direction I'm happy with. So like, let's tip him $10. And it was like, I mean, it was like a $20 haircut. Like it's like a weird. I live in a kind of a weird little military town that has.
Okay, that's
So
what it is.
yeah,
Okay.
I need a
Honestly,
haircut.
I saw your hair. Like when
Yeah,
you
I'm
just
gonna
be
take out my headphones and give you.
yes. What is happening? Okay.
It's
So can
bad.
no,
I
but
need some help.
can I just say when I saw your hair, I was like, huh,
Yeah,
you must be going
this
for
guy's the
like
beauty species.
artsy engineer vibe
No,
because
hillbilly
that looks
actually.
like a wolf cut. And I'm like,
Oh, I didn't know there was a name for this mess.
yes.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
Well, cool.
it's
Wolf cut.
basically an updated mullet. But
Yeah.
I would
Unfinished.
probably get it revisit it with somebody else.
Any local San Diego hairdressers who are listening,
Please
please reach
contact
out.
this
I
guy.
desperately need help. You can see that this is an SOS, like the bat signals going up right here.
But you know what?
Yeah.
Don't shave it. Please don't shave it. You got
No, I'm
something to
not going to
work
shave
with.
it. No, I'm unfortunately I'm in the phase of my life where I'm not allowed to shave my hair anymore,
Good.
because
Perfect.
it's probably going to happen at some point, because I do get impulsive when I get frustrated. But
No,
no,
don't do it. Don't do it.
I did. But part of the story I left out was like through my friend and his wife starting that barber shop, and me, I started getting professional haircuts, and like had a lot of like high and tight fades with like longer on top, really nice, like
Yeah.
really solid barber cuts and stuff. And I kind of got addicted to it, where I was like, "Whoa, this is sweet!" And I was going like every week.
That's so
And then
great.
and then when we sold the barbershop and I left Spruce and moved from, this was in Colorado, and I moved to San Diego, I was like, well, and then of course COVID happened, and so I was like home, and I'm like, I guess I'm back to cutting my own hair. I need a hairdresser in San Diego, please.
You know
The
what?
bat signal is
You
up.
know what? I'm gonna do an
Thank you.
Instagram call after this. I'm gonna help you out.
Screenshot it and be like, seriously,
Which you
people,
know what?
this
Let's
guy.
do well, let's wrap this up. Let's wrap this
Yeah.
up. For you guys watching and listening, thank you for joining Randy and I. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you open a Salon Interactive account. And I will talk to you guys next week.
Yay.